Finally, we've come to the last lesson of civics, that is the outcomes of democracy. So in this video, we'll try to assess what are the outcomes of democracy and how far democracy has been successful in comparison with other forms of government like dictatorship. So let's start. First, we'll try to analyze and assess the outcomes of democracy. In democracy, the basic things that are provided to citizens is equality and and also the important thing, dignity. The other thing that we can understand from democracy as the outcomes are the quality of decision making from the government. It's an extraordinary thing. The other things are democracies provide a method to resolve conflicts, and it also allows room to correct mistakes. We'll try to understand all of them one by one. First of all, what is providing equality to citizens mean? There are multiple articles in the Constitution that say, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, religion, every person should be treated equally. If anyone faces discrimination, there are also acts and laws which punish those who oppress the others in the name of caste, religion, on and so on. So this is one aspect. Also in the government jobs, that there is no literal discrimination. Everyone should be provided equal opportunity. Then providing enhancing dignity to the individuals means individuals in democratic countries, with their opinions, with their ideas and expressions, are taken into consideration. This improves their dignity among the society in comparison to the societies of those countries where dictatorships are, the form of governments. Then the quality of decision making is most probably an impeccable one. A reason here is, in democracies there is a lot of consultation that goes on while a decision is being taken. This we cannot say with respect to a dictatorship or a monarch or some other form of government, where generally one person takes the decision without consulting anybody, or with his will and wish he decides what to be done for that particular country. And the other thing in democracy is it provides a method to resolve conflicts. Generally we have courts act as arbitrators, or they provide methods to settle our disputes. This is another thing. And democracy always provides the room to correct our mistakes. Well, this is an interesting thing. For example, let's say in 2019 a particular state has elected a particular person as chief minister and his party to form the government. And if that particular leader has done very bad in terms of public policy or development for that state, so what is the option for people? They understood that they made a mistake by electing that particular leader, and in the next election, which generally happens after 5 years in India, every 5 years in India, the people of that state get to remove that government and choose another government which can give them that feeling that they would take the state forward. So this is allowing room to correct mistakes. So this is how we understand how democracy works. Now, in general, uh, democracy, it's all about coping with a lot of pressures from different directions and different groups. Uh, there are discussions and debates all the time in democracy regarding corruption, regarding uh, uh, economic issues, regarding elections, regarding the outcomes of various developmental projects. There's always a constant discussion and debate that goes on in a democratic country, which is really good for the health of the country, so as to say. Then if you look at the other aspects, uh, like what can democracy provide to its people? There are three basic things that democracy provides, which is accountability, responsiveness, and legitimacy. Accountability is being answerable to the decisions that government takes. And responsive is, if people are in need of something, definitely democratic governments would respond in their favor. The other thing is legitimacy. Legitimacy is, uh, generally these governments in democratic countries are elected by the people, which means these are legitimate governments. These governments that form in democracies are not formed through a coup or through dynastic process. It's through the legitimacy that comes from the people who vote for them. So these are the things that democracy provides generally. The other thing is, democracy is the most popular form of government across the world. It's even popular in non-democratic countries. Of course, it is popular in democratic countries. It's also popular in non-democratic countries. If you look at the survey that is shown on the screen, except for countries like Pakistan, which is, of course, I don't have to talk much about Pakistan here, but all the other countries who participated in this survey, they were in favor of democracy, and which is a good sign actually. And people prefer to be ruled by representatives who are elected by them, and they believe that democracy is suitable for their countries. And so this is a really healthy sign. The other thing is, the other discussion or the other outcome regarding democracy is economic growth and development. That these are two different things. Economic growth shows, let's say, through GDP. Development discusses issues about reducing poverty rates, being able to provide necessary things like jobs, houses, or basic amenities. So these are two different things, and there's always a debate and discussion around this. And if you compare democracies with dictatorships regarding this particular thing called economic growth and development, there's a clear sign. Actually, there was a survey that was conducted from 1950 to 2000 regarding the statistics of the growth that we would be discussing in the next slide. Um, and we can clearly say that democracies have done somewhat decently. But uh, and the other thing is, dictatorships have done much better in comparison to democracies in terms of economic growth. But economic growth does not depend on one or the other factor. It depends on multiple factors, like for example population size. You can't compare a country like India with a country which is dictatorship, which has the population of Haryana, for that matter. Like a country, let's say, like North Korea. You can't compare North Korea with India, and say that dictatorship has done very well. How can you compare here? These are like apples and bananas. These are two different things. So, but then in general, if you have to look at democracies versus dictatorships, democracies did not do well in terms of economic growth. Coming to the same point again, democracies or the economic growth depends on multiple factors like population size, global situation, international cooperation, economic policies, and various other things. But then if you're looking at dictatorships versus democracies in poor countries, the margin is very negligible. And the outcomes like legitimacy, accountability, and basic rights, these outweigh the things that are provided in dictatorships like economic growth. Now, let's look at this particular tabular column, so as to understand in the last 50 years what was the economic growth and the outcomes related to that. If you look at all the democratic regimes, the growth rate has been 3.95 on an average, and dictatorial regimes have 4.42 as their growth rate, which is almost, a lot of margin here between these two. Then if you look at poor countries under dictatorship and poor countries under democracy, the margin is very, very, very low. So The other outcomes of democracies are related to inequality and poverty. Democracies are expected to create a situation where fair distribution of wealth happens, equal opportunities to everyone are created. There's a debate always on increasing economic inequalities and just and fair distribution. uh, the underlying thing is whether economic growth benefits all the citizens or not, or is it just providing a few. This you look at with dictatorial regimes. The economic growth that we see in dictatorial regimes, it does not reflect the entire society there. Only a few people become ultra rich. All the wealth is kept with very few people in dictatorial regimes. Hardly that growth rate is trickled down to the lowest strata of the society. Also, uh, also in democracies, political equality and every individual has equal equal representation or equal value to their votes. This is another interesting thing. uh, and and the other thing is the share of the total national income is always increasing uh, in these countries. uh, also Also, the other issue here is people at the lowest level are struggling to meet their basic needs. Their incomes are declining, and people at the bottom are uh, you know having very little income. This is another problem with democracy. Though political equality is provided, economic equality becomes a serious issue. Also, economic inequality is something that is coming from the individuals, whereas political equality comes from the state uh, uh, to the citizens. For example, I am given a voting right and a vote value of 1. This is the same to the entire citizenry. This same for the entire country. This comes from the constitution or from the state. Whereas I choose to become a doctor, another person chooses to become uh, a puncture shop owner. So here incomes would definitely be different, and for this we do not need to blame the government. It's the individual choices that actually make a difference with respect to economic issues. And and but overall, we can say that democracies have not been very successful in reducing economic equalities. For example, in countries like India, the poor form a large voting base, and political parties do depend on their votes, but they do not actually show that kind of eagerness to to eradicate the inequalities that are there. The other outcome in democratic countries is the accommodation of social diversity. We generally see a lot of ethnic groups, linguistic groups, and religious groups coexisting together in democratic countries without much of a trouble. Countries like India, countries like Belgium, these are the examples for that. And there has to be an issue that has to be understood in democratic countries. Though there would be one majority group, that does not mean majority rule is a permanent rule. They should understand that majority rule is not permanent rule. Also, they should not mean majority community rule. Then, if you look at democratic countries versus non-democratic countries, democracy helps respect the differences, negotiate conflicts, develop peaceful solutions, whereas non-democratic countries often suppress differences, ignore internal conflicts. These are the issues here. Next, the other last important thing is democracies provide the dignity and freedom to the citizens, whereas non-democratic countries fail to create that kind of situation. Democratic country like India has actually strengthened the claims of disadvantaged castes through reservation. There's a demand for equal status and opportunity being created in societies built on domination, subordination. Accepting equality is really a big challenge, but things have worked out in such a way that we are able to create a situation where that dignity is provided even to the lower so-called lower caste. Also, democratic countries transform people from the concepts of subjects to citizens. So this is all about this particular lesson, outcomes of democracy. So that's it from this video and from my side. Thank you.